put it out in on the Cloverdale thing.
Oh no, it's on Linden. You know,
Oh,
it's
it's
behind the
not.
church.
It's not that church
It's
then.
behind the church's chicken. On up.
Right on Lindeland. I know where it
That's
is.
right.
Yeah, it's where the
Oh, it's Pastor Drake.
senior center used to be.
Yes.
Okay, I know where
Okay, it's
that's at.
Pastor Drake. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. Somehow I got those two mixed up because I was thinking that one on Fatty. That's pretty small.
I'll need it.
Yeah, and they just built
I'll
that
need it.
one probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I highly recommend that.
And I'm just making myself ready to start.
They've changed the budget workshop to the 15th.
Why did they do that? It's after the election. Yeah, but you're still there until the end of the.
Wouldn't be a lot of years to
Oh
go
no,
though.
it's Saturday. That's Saturday.
Or maybe it would be.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, always.
18 days ago.
I think my phone is losing battery terrible.
Mine is too. I think I don't know. I have to plug
Some of
it in
these,
2 or 3 times a day.
well, yeah, mine is out by noon sometimes, and I'm not using it really. Uh, I think some of these revisions on the software are
The
not.
updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're using.
Well, I need to clean mine out. I need to move pictures, and
I
I
tell you
need to.
another thing too that you may not. You know about cleaning stuff.
No, I don't.
Okay, double click and you flip all these out. Those are all
I need to.
programs
Yes, I need
that
to
are
do that.
in progress right now.
Yeah, I know. I've got a million of 'em. My kids always yell at me, and they clean it out when
I
they come.
cleaned Janice's out.
So you just double click that after you
Double
unlock
click.
it, because mine is
Yeah.
locked. Yeah.
And
You
then you
you
get out
double
with
click
that.
it while you got the apps out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what
How
you.
about it?
Oh, okay. You're gonna paddle us too. Oh, if we get out of line. Ah.
And the please at the bottom.
I remember those in. I remember those in school.
Oh, but they didn't look like that. They were about
No, they
twice.
were
They were about
huge.
this thick, and they had holes in them because it hurt worse if they had
I had,
holes in them.
I had that used on me one time.
The guys in my graduating class, they love to tell the story. I went to Lancaster and we had these old, we call them the barracks, and they had a porch on them. Probably a 2, 3 foot drop off. And
Oh,
this
is that
one
where they had to
teacher,
lean
he,
over?
yeah, he was back and he knocked that guy off the platform.
They were.
I had to witness a paddling once. As a teacher, I had to witness it. I didn't like that.
I didn't like it when they
Excuse me
used it
for
on
just
me
a
either.
moment. Are we going to receive an
I
Well,
got
they
it,
didn't
but
used to
yeah,
paddle
well,
girls,
I
which
mean,
was really unfair because
see,
girls had to do the detentions and boys got to go home.
yeah, see, I got caught out there throwing snowballs. I mean, that's what I got whipped for
Yeah. Throwing snowballs.
in the courtyard.
Because that one did
Of
not
course,
get
it was
cool.
dangerous. I mean, you hurt
That
somebody.
one's
Yeah,
not
you
easy
can
to
hurt
throw.
somebody.
Yeah, I was really a rough shot. I was bad.
You can't see the audience. You
Mm-mm.
just have to see the speakers. See if they're smiling or frowning or.
Yeah, nodding or.
How am I going to talk? I don't have a microphone.
I guess we'll just have to pass this down back
Or
and
just
forth.
move it off
Yeah.
that thing.
I assume we just move it around.
The problem with this audience is everyone's already made up their minds. Now they start talking.
Are they taping it or anything?
Hmm?
Are they taping it or anything? sister's 92. I called my niece and had told her about my brother because I just didn't want to shock her or anything like that. So they went over and said, but she was upset. My brother, has been real close to my oldest sister, and of course it wasn't as bad as what they first reported. So
Well, that's a good thing.
yes,
That's a good thing. Well, I have noticed about older people, it doesn't seem to affect them as much when somebody dies.
well, it's like my dad said one time. He said, "I'm
I
ready
guess
to
they
go." He said, "I'm
realize.
ready to go. All my friends are gone."
Well, I was gonna say, and I guess they realize that pretty soon they'll be seeing all these people again.
Well, they tend to hurt. My sister has a problem in her bowel area. They think it's malignant. How they think that, I don't know. I guess in
Maybe where it
X-rays and
is
all.
and
Yeah,
how it looks.
they're not going to go in and do anything, obviously, up or down.
No,
So
and not at her
not
age.
at her age.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, you have to worry
You
about
know,
quality of life.
well, they're once you get 80, they don't do very much anymore. My
My
brother,
my doctor told me that once you get past 65, they don't care
yeah,
what the doctors
when
say.
when my brother went in for I forget what it was now. His doctor told him, he said, if you didn't look so good and you're in good shape, he said, I couldn't do this. They wouldn't let me. There she is.
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to talk to her.
Mm-mm. Looks like we got our purchasing guy up here tonight. Maybe I need to talk about purchasing.
Oh, David's car?
Right down there. Take it. They are really tight.
Well, they have to be for anybody to be spending this much money right now on a stupid open house.
That was what was spent.
Everything gets expensive.
Some of them have more left. Yep, it is. Are we just gonna pass these?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
See, we're gonna start fashionably 15 minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
You ready, Brother King? Brother King, you ready? All right, if you would you may stand with me? Everyone, please. A word of prayer. Amen. Welcome to the valley, by the way. Let us pray. Father, I ask that you would bless this situation right now. I ask, God, that you will come in and help the candidates. We thank you for the DeSoto Chamber Commerce, for putting this on here. We just ask that you have your way so this can be successful. I ask you to bless Brother Kinsey Moore, that he may lead and guide in the way you have him, so clarity may be in understanding. give you glory and praise for it right now. And may the best one win in Jesus' name. Can the people of God say amen? Amen. Now you turn over to Brother Kennedy.
Good evening. So everybody's here. So let's see, it's past morning. I don't do mornings very well, so it's evening. So I'm a night out. So good evening. Good evening. All right, yeah, y'all out there. All right. What an exciting evening and what a great opportunity for you to have an opportunity to pick a candidate of your choice for the school board. Wow. Just first and foremost, welcome from the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce. Did y'all know we had a Chamber of Commerce in DeSoto? Did y'all know that? How exciting is that? And guess who's putting it on? DeSoto Chamber of Commerce. Now, we have one word that we're using in the chamber this year, and that is wow. Wow, wow. Look at our candidates. They're all smiling and well, they're ready to go. They're ready to go. So welcome on behalf of the chamber. My name is Al Melton. I am the chamber board chair, and we're excited, as I said, to have you here this evening. Next, we'll have one of the greatest ladies in DeSoto. No, let me change that. The greatest lady in DeSoto, Mr. Curtis D. McCowan, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please rise and join in the pledge to the American flag and then the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
I would be remiss in not mentioning the leader of this church, the Bishop David Smith, who did such a wonderful job in the prayer and opened up this edifice for us to have this forum this evening, and we want to say thank you to him and his congregation. I'm going to ask now that if you would, all elected officials would please stand. All elected officials. And since there's a few, would you give us your name and your place, please? Carl, you didn't say you were the president. You just said, well, you said you're president, right?
I mean, I'm the president for a few more months, right?
You're right.
Depending on how this goes, we'll see if that
Thank you all for coming this evening. We really do appreciate those that are coming and also the elected officials that are here. We're going to now have an introduction of the candidates. No, that's what you have here. Instructions to the candidates. Now, let me, it's dark. Okay, candidates. Each candidate has 45 seconds to introduce themselves. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer questions, and if time permits, we will accept questions from the audience. Is that understood by all the candidates? Okay, great. We have a gentleman this evening that is going to be our moderator, which I have had the honor to meet in the last 2 3 years and have a great admiration for. His name is Kenzie Moore. He's a graduate of Southwestern Christian College and Abilene Christian University. He has worked in real estate since 1996 and currently runs the Kenzie Moore Group. Moore is a former DeSoto ISD board trustee, a past president of the district's education foundation, and has served on the board for the DeSoto Dining and Dialogue. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Kenzie Moore.
Good evening. My real name is Anderson Cooper. Kenzie Moore could not make it here tonight, so Anderson Cooper will be doing the debate. So it's so good to have you all here. It's really a pleasure. We want to thank the leadership of this church. Number one, this is the second year in a row that they have held this debate, and they continue to extend the invitation to us. And again, here at Faith, we want to thank you all again for being such part of this community and allowing the Chamber to have this function, as well as for the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce for stepping up and bringing this to our community as well. This is a very important time for us, not only for our country, but also for the city of DeSoto, because we too are going through a transition, and we need to know that we have the leadership in place, not only for our schools, but also for our city. And it's always a pleasure to have our mayor, who is always out in support of all the activities that involve this city, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Mayor, as well as other elected officials. So I want you all to kind of sit back, take it easy. We're going to go through this process. And to the candidates, welcome to you all as well. We look forward to getting your answers to some of the questions that I have. Just as a disclaimer for everyone that is here, I am a part of an association called the Metro Texas Association, and I am over the government affairs. And normally in our government affairs committee, we endorse candidates and we also give funds. We did not endorse any candidate that is here. We have not reached out to any candidates. So I just want to be clear to make sure that everybody understands that this is an impartial situation, and I have no allegiance nor endorsement in regard to Metro Texas Association of Realtor. I know you guys are ready, and I know you had another panel discussion on Saturday. Consider this as an extension of that, but in our discussion here, we're going to go into a little bit more details in some of the questions. We're going to cover a number of issues here. Some will be directed directly at the incumbents, and some will be directed at those who are running for the first time. And again, I will put the question to you, and I will point out where we get started and who is to respond. And as you know, we have a timekeeper here. So what I'd like to do, first of all, is do something in two parts. I'd like for you all to introduce yourself, and in that process of introducing yourself, tell us why you are running. I'm going to start right here with Ms. Brown, and then we're going to go all the way down. Again, tell us who you are, and tell us why you are running for this office. Ms. Brown, if you don't mind starting.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Demetrius D. Brown, and I am running for place 3 on your ballots for this May 6th election. I am running because I have my child graduated from DeSoto. I'm a resident of DeSoto, and I believe that service starts at home first. And whenever you have more than one individual from different aspects or different parameters or from within your city, I think that you should, and they come and ask you for help, I think that you should consider that. It takes a lot for someone to come to someone and ask for help. And you have individuals who come from either parents, school board, teachers, or what have you, or just citizens, and they feel as though you have something within you to provide and to offer. So I believe that I should bring all my skills sets to my community, and it starts at home first. So I am Demetrius Brown, and naturally you can come and speak to me at any time. Many of you I already know, but if you do not, then please stop me at any time. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. I want to share something with you all as well. When you see that sign that says stop, don't stop what you're saying. Continue to finish your remarks. We don't want to stop you. Don't want to do that. Want to give you the opportunity. Just when you see stop, just realize, hey, I may have another 5 or 10 seconds, okay? So I don't want you to just come to a stop on your comments, because we want to give you time to finish whatever statement you're making, okay? Next. Yes, Mr. Woods.
Thank you. Hi, my name is, can you all hear me okay out there? My name is Jerry longtime resident of DeSoto. Currently, I live in the city of Glen Heights. I have children that also attend DeSoto ISD, and I'm running because I have a passion to help. I have a passion to volunteer. I have a passion to learn new things. I have a passion to also give my knowledge of what I know and try to help others. In this situation, I would like to be an inspiration to children. Uh, Even in my high school days, I did a lot of volunteer work with the younger children, and I just want to extend this, maybe being a continuation of what I would like to do for our children in our community at this time. And I'm just very happy to be here. I'm gracious for the opportunity, and just want to thank everybody. Again, my name is Jeremy Woods, Place 3.
Ms. Daniels.
Hi, I'm Karen Daniel. I'm a longtime DeSoto resident. I've lived here for 40 years. I taught at the high school for 33 years. I am passionate about public schools, especially DeSoto public schools. My 3 children went to school here and were well prepared for the future. And that's what I want for our students now. I want them to be well prepared for the future. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English from University of Texas at Arlington and a Master's in Education in Public School Administration from the University of North Texas. I have been involved in education my entire life, and I intend to stay involved in education.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
My name is Jerry Hall. I'm currently in place 4 on the DeSoto School District trustees. A resident of DeSoto for about 39 years. My wife, Janice, was a teacher for 20 years, retired and happy. And we have, our 2 sons graduated from DeSoto High School, went on to college and got their degrees. My passion for this school district is that we be the greatest school district available in this whole area. We have been and we can be again. I'm also very passionate about our finances. Of course, we do everything with tax dollars, local and so on. And I had mentioned the other day about LBB and the fact that I am really passionate about getting an internal auditor. They didn't tell us to do that when they assessed us, but they have a letter out that talks about the fact that if we have 5,000 or more students, we ought to have one. Thank you.
Before we go on to the next, I would ask that you check your phones because even vibration is being picked up. And so in that way it won't disturb the person that's speaking. So we'll go on next to Ms. Clark.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Clark. I am a resident of DeSoto for 28 years. I graduated DeSoto High School, and I also taught in DeSoto. It was my first teaching job in the city at DeSoto West Middle School as an 8th grade science teacher. I am here running for DeSoto IS School Board Trustee, place 4, because I'm ready to give back. I need to improve. We have some great things going, but we could work on our academics, our accountability, and our achievements. And being a product of DeSoto ISD and a teacher in the classroom in DeSoto, I believe I can bring some knowledge to the board and be able to just be there and reside with everyone and be able to unify our community, because the school board is the missing link between our school and our community. So it's time to reunite that and just bring that perspective to light.
Thank you. Is that Ms. Downs?
It is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Sams, and I am currently a nonprofit founder and owner, CEO of Crystal and Company Theatrical Ministries. Being able to have my own business and be self-sufficient has allowed me to spend a lot of time within our schools at DeSoto and volunteer my time working with the students and being involved in my son's school and then at the high school. Why am I running? I see the need that our children have. They are requesting by their actions, by their by their deeds, someone to fight for them. And my efforts in fighting for them is getting them the structured tutoring, targeted tutoring that they need. I have been getting involved with parent involvement, getting parents to the schools, changing the content of the relationship between parents and teachers. And I want to be on the school board so that I can further this effort. But the mission will go on regardless. But I need all parents and everyone in this community to understand that we have to work together to do what's best for our children, and it starts today.
Good evening. My name is DeAndrea Fleming, and I am running for School Board Place 4 as well. I am a 9-year resident of DeSoto. I have 2 children that attended DeSoto schools. My mother is a retired teacher from DeSoto, and the reason why I'm running, I say 10,000 kids, but we have a population that extends beyond the students that come to this school. And so I run because we have to know that there is a need that is missing, that we have to bridge a gap between transparency in our community. So we have taxpayers who pay taxes, but children do not attend our schools. So how do we bring them back? How do we make DeSoto a highly sought after premier school district in academics and athletics? How do we build transparency and trust between our community members and our teachers through a transparent financial budget? And also, we have to strengthen the role of the Board of Trustees in improving student achievement and accountability. So that is why I run. I am a passionate educator of 16 years, and I bring a wealth of experience to bridge the gap between the school and the community. Thank you.
Mr. Hooper.
Good evening. My name is Aubrey Christopher Hooper, and I have the distinguished pleasure and honor of serving this community as a member of the DeSoto ISD Board of Trustees, which I believe that I have served with distinction over the last 6 years. But this was a passion that started as a child and wanting to help people and provide experiences, world-class and life-changing experiences. And over the last 6 years, I think that I've been responsible and diligent in helping to provide those types of experiences to our students here in DeSoto ISD. But to be very honest and frank with you, the work is not done. The work will only be done when we deliver a world-class school district. And I'm committed to continuing and fighting every day to make sure that our students get that world-class experience and they get only the best. And so that, Mr. Moore, is why I'm running.
Thank you, sir. Okay. The next will be Ms. Barber.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alonda L. Barber, and I am running for School Board Place 5. I am an actively engaged and concerned parent who sees that DeSoto Independent School District has what it takes to be a premier school district. Why I am running? I am running because I know that I bring to the table assets and attributes that this district needs at the current moment. Do we need to reinvent anything that's already existing? Absolutely not. But what we do need to do is streamline it, relook at it, reorganize it, and revitalize some things that are in place. And that is what I believe that I truly can bring to the table. So with your vote and your support, I do believe that I am the best fit for School Board Place 5. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Porter.
Yes, my name is Darrell Porter. I am also running for school board Place 5. I am a parent. I am a grandparent. I'm a pastor. I'm a mentor. I'm a friend. I'm a 24-year resident of DeSoto. I have invested my time, my talent, and my treasure in assisting DeSoto children to get beyond the boundaries of DeSoto into other areas of higher education. My why? I simply want to change the conversation. I want to bring back some civility to the board. I want to get us to a place where we're working toward consensus. I want to make the kids in the seats more important than the seats. And that, I believe, will help us bring back the greatness of this district. Thank you.
Thank you. you all very much for that introduction and for sharing some aspects about why you're running. So we're going to start off first with I have a question for the incumbents. First, the three incumbents. And this question is going to start off with you, Mr. Hooper, and then we're going to get into some other things. And I'm looking for specific details, okay? If you don't give me the details, I'm coming back and asking for clarification. This first question, it talks about, you've been on the board already for 3 years. So I want to give you an opportunity to tell us 2 accomplishments in your 3 years that have taken place on the board. And please try not to give the same answer that the other one gave, okay? Just name, because you've been there 3 years, name 3 accomplishments that have occurred on this board for the last 3 years, and please give us some details about that.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Just a brief correction. I've had the pleasure of serving on the board for the last 6 years.
Yes, I'm aware, but I'm talking about these first 3 because I know you've been on there for a while and done a lot of great things. But because the other 2 have only been there for 3 years, just want to keep it in that perspective.
Okay, so in the last 3 years, we've been able to establish magnets at all of our middle schools. In addition, we've been able to establish magnet programs and innovative programs at all of our elementaries. In addition, we were able to establish collegiate programs, which obviously is not a new concept, but we were able to establish those at the high school. As a result, we've been able to increase enrollment from the 8,600 when I first started on the board to the 9,800 students that we have currently. And those are DeSoto, majority DeSoto students that live in the proximity of the city. Obviously, there are a few more accomplishments, but if you're going to restrict me to those few, hopefully I'll get the opportunity to elaborate, or if you want to continue to pressure and press, we can engage.
No, you will get the opportunity, though.
Thank you.
I guarantee you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hall.
That's a hard question. One of the things that I feel like I've accomplished, we provide American Express cards to top-level management. And I have, through the finance department, worked with Mr. Laborde to make those more accountable as far as what they purchase and that sort of thing. I'm not through yet, but that's a start. We also, with my help, raised the teachers' salaries. Obviously, all of us were involved in that. But I've also tried over the last 3 years to raise the status of teachers, because teachers are professionals, and they need to be treated as professionals, and that's a goal I have, and hopefully I've accomplished something on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Ms. Daniels?
Okay, in the last 3 years, the board has established an anti-bullying program for students and teachers where they can feel safe in the classroom and free from bullying, and they have a place to go to ask for help if it does happen. We have improved our hiring practices. We have hired the most qualified teachers we could find for the classroom, and we have authorized the superintendent to hire more teachers so we could reduce class size.
Okay, thank you very much. You guys have opened a lot of stuff that I have on here, but I'm going to try to stay on tune too, okay? The next question is for the whole panel, and that is, what are the 3 major challenges facing the district? And I'm going to start down there with you, Mr. Porter. What are the 3 major challenges facing this district?
The 3 major challenges currently are making sure first that we understand how this new grading system is going to work and how it is going to affect this district. The other major challenge is one that is running through the legislature also right now, where school choice and school vouchers will potentially take away funding with children. And the other, I believe, most important challenge that we face is making sure that this district as a whole
functions as part of the heartbeat of this city, and understanding that this board plays a vital role in making sure that that occurs.
The three major challenges that I feel that impact our district at the present moment, one is academia, two is teachers being valued and appreciated in their morale in the classroom, and three, cultivating the positive relationship between our community, parents, students, and teachers.
Well, I think one is making sure that we remain fiscally responsible in an environment where public education is continuously under attack. I am happy to report that the voucher bill was defeated. I think two is making sure that we maintain highly effective teachers in every class that come to work every day. And then lastly is overall making sure that we enhance our academic programs, that they are solid, so that we are remaining competitive, you know, both statewide as well as nationally, and providing our students with those world-class educational experiences.
Thank you, sir.
So challenge number one would be employee morale. We have to ensure that we're retaining our highly effective teachers. And so when and morale is down, we know that the teachers are not their best for their students. So we want to make sure that we are recognizing and appreciating our teachers and also providing professional development for those teachers. We have to have our teachers engaged in their own learning so that they can be a better suit and be a better product for our students. The second one would be addressing the social challenges of our students. Was one of the things that we don't look at, having a response to intervention system that is in place that identifies our students when challenges first arise. So we need to look at how do we streamline what comes through the teachers and maybe report out to. When I say that, I'm talking about the SST process or identifying our students if they need special ed services, if they need psychological services. We need to really look at that. And last but not least, look at the A through F accountability rating. We need to have more students that are post-secondary ready, and that means they're able to go out into the real world and compete in a global society.
The first thing I would say would be parent engagement. We have a lot of parents that are single parents. They work, and it's hard to get a lot of involvement at the schools. But one thing that I have initiated is the parent involvement movement that I've taken on at my son's elementary school, changing the content of the relationship between the parent and the staff on campus. So you should be hearing about some of those events, parent versus staff events. The second one would be community involvement. With the new A through F ranking, it's going to judge community engagement within our schools as well. So we have to get the community invested in our students as well, bringing them in. Also with academics, and when I say academics, I mean academic recovery. There are some students that may have some challenges with the STAR testing and are challenges with different subject areas. We need to provide them with the targeted tutoring they need to get them to the level that they need to be on.
The three major challenges facing the district that I would say is being able to be fiscally responsible, maintaining the 80 million budget that we receive every year, making sure that we do not go over budget, but that we stay on track but with our taxpayers' money. I would also say the second most important thing is increase our college readiness so that our students will not have to take a remediation course. Several of our students do matriculate to college, but they all majority of them end up in a remediation course their first year. So we need to increase our academics so that those students will be more prepared. And lastly, it will be our community partnerships as well. We need to bridge the gap between our community and our school by offering internships to our students and building those relationships throughout our community.
Thank you. The first thing I would say is our student progress, along with parent involvement and leadership in the right position. With the A through F, we're facing a challenge, and it's already being challenged pretty significantly. The second thing I'd say is that making sure the scores match the programs or the progress. This is being challenged again, as I said. And money is always the problem. There's a threat always from the state to pull funding or cut funding. Fortunately, over the last few years, our home values have gone up, so our local tax rates are going a lot better than they have in the past. But we also need to tighten our belt. We need to spend every dollar we can in the right place.
Okay, our three most important challenges are, first of all, making our school district into an academic powerhouse. We need to raise the rigor in our classroom. We need to use our highly valued, highly trained, highly qualified teachers to do this. The second thing we need to do is we need to reach all of our students. We do a great job now with our top 20, 25%, but we don't do so well with our regular ed students and our special needs students, so we need to concentrate more in those areas. And the third thing we need to concentrate on is being fiscally responsible, spending our taxpayer dollars wisely, using our money in the classroom for the students and the teachers.
Three things that I'm aware of that needs to be addressed and possibly adjusted. One challenge that we may have is the ability to maintain quality educators. If we have a revolving door of a district where the educator is not happy and does not stay at the school, then we do not have the guarantee of knowing that we're going to deliver the most valuable curriculum to each and one of our children who's obtaining their education. Second thing that I'm looking at is we understand that the tax rates are going to be frozen, possibly if the legislature does pass at a certain percent. That means that the monies that we were getting are now not going to be there. We need to find another way to apply and obtain funding without the need of having to raise the tax rates on the taxpayers. And the third thing also is I like to focus more on special education, the curriculum, and how the curriculum is being delivered to the children with those special needs.
The three things or major concerns or challenges that I find with DeSoto High School, or not just the high school, but the district altogether, is one, making certain that our children are competitive at the collegiate level. We want to make certain that they're prepared, and those students who do not choose to go to college, they may decide they want to take on a trade. So that's the first thing. Second, I think that we need to focus on empowering our teachers and being supportive with our teachers so that we may be able to maintain and retain highly qualified educators for our children. And then finally, I think that we all should be fiscally responsible because we have a fiduciary responsibility to our taxpayers with local, state, and federal funds.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much. And all your answers were very similar. But I got to share with you what I did not hear. I did not hear anyone talk about the issue of discipline in the schools. So let me give you some numbers and tell me if this is a challenge for the district as well. These are more so data from 2015 and 2016, but also from 2014 and 2015. In 2014-15, we roughly had a little bit over 10,900 students participating. In 2015 and 16, roughly about 11,000. So stay with me there. It says here there was a district discipline population. Now we're going to start off with just 2015-16, so that's the year we're looking at. And I got this information from TEA, okay? It says the district discipline population is roughly 2,700. 2014, 2015, it was roughly 2,300. The district discipline record count was 7,300, 2015, 2016. 2014 and 15, it was 5,400. Count of students suspended in school in 2014 and 15 was 1,700. For 2015 and 16, it was 2,000. 2014 and 15, students suspended out of school was 1,100. For 2015 and 16, it was 1,700. Out of school suspension, 2014, 15, it was roughly 2,007. 2015, 2016, it was 3,100. Here's one that should be of concern. Violated local code of conduct. In 2014-15, it was 4,300. And 2015-16, it was 5,700. Now, I guess I would like for the incumbents to start on this first, because from looking at these numbers, it seems like we have a big challenge right here, where it's been an excess of 20% increase in areas of discipline over 2014, 15, 2015, and 16. So, Ms. Daniels, I want to start with you. What are we going to do, or what can the district do to address this issue of discipline? Because it appears as if the numbers are rising every year. And if you talk about educating kids, then if you got a discipline issue here that's represent more than 30% of the student body, I think you have a bigger challenge here. Can you talk about that there, the discipline issue?
Yes, we have an accountability issue here. We need to make everyone accountable. We need to have the students accountable, the parents accountable, the teachers accountable, the administrators accountable, and the board accountable. We all need to work together on this problem, and we need to solve it. A student cannot learn in an undisciplined atmosphere. A teacher cannot teach in an undisciplined atmosphere. We need to show those teachers support. We need to show those teachers respect. We need to have the students show support and respect. We need to teach our students that it is a good thing to respect your teachers. They do deserve your respect because they are working for you as a student and your future. So we need to work together as a team on this problem.
Okay, thank you. However, the incumbents have been on here 3 years. And each of those 3 years, the issue of discipline has always been an issue in the district. You as incumbents, what have you done to reduce that amount, knowing that it is an issue? What have you and what can you do? Because so long as that continues, you're going to have the other issues. So what I want you to talk to us about, since you've been on the board, how have you addressed that issue when the numbers continue to rise? Mr. Hall, you go, and then Mr. Hooper, go to you. And then if you guys want to come back to this issue as incumbents, do so, because I'm going to ask the same question to the others on the stage.
To be quite honest with you, I'm embarrassed. This rise in discipline problems is not unknown, but I didn't know about those figures. There's a communication problem, first of all, between where that happens and the board, and maybe even the administration also. I know that in the 3 years I've been on there, we've talked to the superintendent, because he is our employee, about this discipline problem. We have done different things to try to help with it. But I had an example. If I could give an example, I had a young lady approach me in a store, and I had a DeSoto t-shirt. She wanted off as a teacher, and I said, no, I'm a trustee. And I explained to her what that was, and she said that she was a freshman, and she said, I go to class, and she said, if I don't like what they're teaching, I leave the class. And then maybe I come back, and if I still don't like what they're teaching, I leave the class. That's a problem. I didn't know that was a problem. We need to hold the accountability from our employee, the superintendent, and his staff to make us aware of this. We can't find this out in the stores in our city.
Okay. Mr. Hooper.
Well, I think first, one thing that is extremely important, and one thing that I've been attempting to continue to push for is that we establish an academic culture. And I think that true discipline, when it is ran through an academic culture, then it reduces the amount of disciplining occurrences that you have. If you have highly engaged lessons and highly effective teachers, then students don't have the opportunity to engage in disruptive behavior because, number one, they're engaged in the learning process. A lot of discipline issues occur when you don't have strong content specialists that are in the classroom, and quite frankly, students are disengaged, bored, or this, that, and the other. The other thing speaks to consistency and accountability and making sure that administrators and all of those that are charged with monitoring discipline, that they are consistent in the implementation of discipline. I am somewhat, as a person who is involved in the sector, as well as a person that's involved in the other side of the educational sector that usually deals with students who are impacted with the discipline. I'm interested to see if those, because I heard some numbers that are even higher than the actual enrollment of the school district. And so I would wonder, are those occurrences? How are those entered? Because the responsibility to enter those things are actually on administrators. So when I heard the 11,000 number and this, that, and the other, those numbers are actually higher than the actual enrollment.
Well, let me clarify for you, sir.
Okay.
I think you raised a valid point because I pulled this off the TEA, and this report is for the district level annual discipline summary. The section is participation. The heading name is district accumulative year-end enrollment. And it's roughly 10,957, so I just said roughly 11,000, okay? So does that help? I think you have a very valid point about your numbers.
Well, somewhat. But so some of those could be duplicate referrals
Correct.
of the same students.
I totally agree.
And if that is district-wide, then more than likely, you're gonna have an abundance of those that are probably gonna be at the middle school and high school level.
That's right.
So I just wanted to provide that type of qualification so that people just don't get the impression that we have potentially a bunch of elementary kids that are running wild too, because with those numbers, it's higher than district enrollment in some regard.
And you're right, because, and I mentioned too, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think you bring up a very valid point, is that the district discipline population is roughly 2,700.
Okay.
Which is a total different than you look at the total 11,000. So it sounds as if you're onto something that's very right and that you're correcting it.
And it's one thing that I do want to bring up. So the board has examined discipline. And so we had the administration to give a report on where were these disciplinary infractions occurring. The majority of disciplinary infractions were dress code, violations. Badges, just simple things. When we look at today's dress code, which would be 16-17, versus last year, you can ask the high school principal. In specific things to the high school, number of referrals have dramatically reduced from 15-16 to 16-17. And part of that was, some of the decisions that were made as a result of the board's decision. Now, I know that this may not be the greatest topic to bring up, dress code, but the reality is the sheer numbers and the dress code movement, a lot of that actually came from the teachers in the classroom. And so it wasn't a decision that was made in isolation. And I don't think that the board makes a decision just willy-nilly or in isolation. We do consider facts and occurrences and the community's opinion. And so it wasn't a decision that was made in isolation. It was great deliberation. And so I just want to be very clear and provide those facts to the community and those who are interested.
And thank you. That's why I read off these numbers and the errors, like the one you just brought up, violated local code of conduct, which could be a dress code violation. which would mean that that's why that's probably so high, and that some of these are reoccurrence, in which it doesn't represent the number of students, it represents the number of occurrences that have occurred with a number of students. Would that be correct in saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to give that clarification. Now, let's talk to the rest of the panel. What would you do to decrease the number of discipline issues in the district? What would you do? Now, understand, you as a board, you do have some authority over this, so it's just not on the superintendent, nor is it just on the schools themselves. It is you as a board, because you guys oversee the district. So starting with you, Ms. Brown, if you were elected as a board member, what would you do to address the issue of discipline in the district?
When I found that when we're dealing with our children within our district, and listening to all the facts that have been provided here as of today, and you're referencing, I want to get some clarification.
Sure.
You stated that 2,700 is not the number of, that's the number of occurrences, correct?
That's the number.
Not necessarily number of students, just.
Well,
so
actually, that is the population.
The population.
That is,
2,700.
that says here, district discipline population, 2,784.
So we're talking about 27% of our overall.
Okay.
Approximately.
Well, no, not
Well,
true.
I would
That's not
do
necessarily true.
Approximately.
Okay. Let me let you finish.
Approximately. What I found that when you're dealing with disciplining with children, I do agree with some of my counterparts here. You have to have a rigorous program. You have to keep children and students engaged. When you don't do that, it becomes idle. They find other things to distract them in those areas. I believe that our educational system needs to be more rigorous in the classroom in structural basis. It's been found that a high competitive structural class provides less discipline problems. That has been proven. So clearly that's an area where we probably should focus in on as a board. In hindsight, I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Sure, please.
What we all wanna talk about right now is when we have a problem, when there is a fight or some type of aggression or things of that nature. I think our district has done a very good job of making certain that we've had cameras placed into the system, into our schools. I think there are some areas where we have little blind spots, but that comes with any entity. I also believe that we've done a good job with increasing the security there at the school. So although those numbers play a very valid point, I think the district has done a good job with trying to attempt to address these issues. Now, we're gonna get it resolved overnight? No. But I do think that we should put some metrics with those things and see if those areas are actually providing the support that we need, is able to do that.
Good. Mr. Woods, on you, sir.
In regards to what I would try with first, I'm going to, if I'm elected, I will consult with the entire board. But without knowing the exact elements of where the disciplinary actions occurred from, given one that I understand, code of conduct, you may need to review the policy of the code of conduct. Since we do understand that a lot of the disciplinary actions were gone away because of just the dress code in itself, that decreased that number dramatically. And I'm quite sure that even outside of high school and middle school children, elementary children will have the same occurrences as well. Removing that aspect of the code of conduct could decrease that number very, very, very big. Now, another thing that you want to consider is the total governance of the board. Again, communication is the key. The superintendent is not communicating with the board of what is going on, but then that needs to be rectified. I believe that if you have proper governance, if you have communication avenues already in place, and you have a standard method of coming back and reporting items of what you're requesting to figure out what numbers are what, or what's actually going on, what's being occurred, then I think that you can actually narrow down what the problem is, and then that would also bring those numbers down as well.
Ms. Clark.
In regards to the discipline concern that you've mentioned, I believe it does go to increasing the rigor in the classroom, but that's only a portion of it. When we educate our students, we have to educate the whole student. And if a student is having disciplinary infractions, then we understand they're missing portion of classroom learning. So what I would recommend is restorative justice program, which is a highly program that Region 10 has brought to the counselors and administrators' attention, because it is a program that allows for students to, instead of going to ISS, in school suspension, there's a coach in there who talks to them about their whole body. So you deal with the social aspect, the emotional aspect, and then the behavioral, allowing the students to be held responsible for their consequences that are now in place. Because you can yell at a student, you can sit them in ISS, but what are we really teaching them by them sitting in there? When they're out of school suspended, what are they learning? So if you teach the students how to address their behavior hands-on by incorporating this restorative justice program, it'll reduce your discipline.
Okay. Ms. Sams.
Mr. Moore, I don't want to be out of order, but can I ask you a question before I answer that question?
Yes, you can.
I have some very good educators that are on this panel.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to pose this question. When you were getting your certification, how much time was spent on, or did you study anything about disciplining the students that you're teaching?
I don't want you to pose that question to
Okay.
him. You can leave it out there for him to think about.
Well, I want to put that out.
Okay.
How much time was actually spent on learning how to discipline the students that are in the classroom? I'm asking that because I had various teachers coming up.
Yes.
Various different types of teachers who had different types of learning skills and learning structures. So some of them were bland, but I got the information. Some of them were high energetic, but I got the information. If we're going to address the behavior of the student, we have to look at them in an emotionally intelligent way, meaning that different students have different emotional issues. So I can't say that the behavior is just to be disruptive. If they don't know the information or they're not able to grasp that information, it is our duty to work together to see how we can get the best formula figured out to support those students, but at the same time, not hindering the other students from excelling or not taking away from that teacher's time to teach, whether they're teaching in a rigorous way or whether they're teaching the way that they know how to teach. You know, we have to have someone else. If they're not able to corral this behavior, they only have a certain amount of time to teach. So if they're unable to get the behavior done with those students, we need to provide them with an aide or someone in that can handle that behavior or excuse that behavior and still educate these children while we're handling other aspects of their issues.
Okay. Ms. Fleming.
Okay, this is what I deal with every day as a current assistant principal in DeSoto ISD. The first thing is you have to build a relationship. If you don't have a relationship with a student, you can never get to the root cause of what is really affecting them. And because of that, let me take you back to where the district is now. Right now, we implement PBIS and CHAMPS. That is a program where teachers go through a process in which they administer consequences and give students the ability to adjust their behaviors. However, there is a disconnect. Fidelity is the word. You have to implement something with fidelity. You have to train with fidelity, and you have to come back and evaluate if the program or process is happening with fidelity. And so there you have the first disconnect. The second is that, as Ms. Clark talked about, is restorative discipline. We're so quick to punish and put students out. We have to have ways where we communicate with our students, where we talk to our students and make sure they understand what the expectation is, and most of the times they can tell you about their behavior. The next thing, the lessons have to be engaging. You have to have hands-on activities. You have to create these lessons with the students who may potentially be the behavior problems. Then, on top of that, you have to look at bringing in a behavior interventionist. Being on the board, one of the things we were looking at for DOI is having a behavior interventionist. You have to have people who can pull out and not deter from the instruction that is happening on campus. And last but not least, as a community, as parents, we have to have parent academies. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. We have to bring our parents in and make sure that they understand what is happening with their children, as well as looking at partnerships. Again, if you don't know anything about the school-to-prison pipeline, again, here, if those numbers that you're speaking of, we have to make sure that we have partnerships with organizations who can come in and be mentors to our children where it may be lacking at the home. But in the end, we support each other and we pick up the pieces to make sure that our students are successful.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Barber.
Yes. When we talk about discipline, we all have assumed that it is actual physical discipline of the kids. I would be interested to know how many of those code of conducts were dealing with ID badge, tardy sweeps, bring your own device, dress code, cursing in the classroom. Those are things that I have experienced as having a freshman in the high school. And when we talk about dress code may have decreased, but did it decrease because the teacher doesn't know what to look for because there's no consistency? Or they don't even want to be bothered with it. When we talk about BYOD, bring your own device in the classroom, we institute that technology, but then teachers get frustrated because they spend a majority of their time saying, put your cell phone away, come off of Instagram, come off of Facebook, come off of Twitter. So for me, it would be reaching out and having that statistical data done, look at it first. Then we need to institute cultural sensitivity training of the state of our kids at the current moment right now, and then intervention training. Put a step plan in place that says, what are the steps that you do before you just, as a first all be all, sending them to ISS or home or suspension for the day? So those are some of the things that I would look at. And then last but not least, doing statistical data before we have to wait for TEA to put it out. Do it on a quarterly basis. Hold your teachers, hold your principals accountable. Screen it, flush it, and scrub your referrals so that way you have some statistical data information that's solid and concrete and we don't have to trust TEA.
Mr. Porter.
Well, it's all been said. I agree that we have to understand what those numbers mean, first of all, because just numbers out there really don't tell the whole story.
But would you agree that there's a discipline issue in the district?
I would agree that there is a discipline issue in the district, okay, but I would not necessarily agree that the discipline issue is a grave discipline issue, because those things that are being cited as discipline issues, again, they may being out of dress code. Is it really a discipline issue? Is it just a compliance issue? We need to understand what the statistical data is telling us, first of all. Does it mean that you have bad kids? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have bad kids. It might mean that you have a child that got up in the morning and inadvertently left his or her ID badge at home, and it becomes a reportable discipline statistic. So without understanding all of the undergirding of the numbers, it's very difficult to really ascertain whether it is a true discipline problem, or if it is, or if there are other factors that are part of generating generating those numbers.
But Mr. Porter, would you say that, and I don't mean to interrupt you because I want to give you more time to respond, would you say if those issues are continue to increase every year, is that not a problem? Regardless of whether it's a badge or whether it's a dress or anything, would you not say that that's still a problem?
I would say that we have a problem with consistency.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would say that we have a problem with consistency. Okay. And what I mean by consistency is, do we consistently discipline the same things in the same manner? Okay. And yes, I would agree that may be a problem. However, again, rigor in the classroom, managing the classroom are key components to resolving that. Does every kid that shows up out of dress code need to go to ISS? Absolutely not. Okay. I don't agree that they would have to.
Okay. Good.
And simply because if I'm managing the classroom, there are things that I can do inside of the classroom to affect that student more effectively than sending them off to ISS.
Okay. You always get some great answers, but you're talking as if you are an administrator and teacher, not as if you're a school board trustee. So that's a whole different thing, because you are the overseer of the district. You're not the administrator, nor are you the teacher. So a lot of your answers, give me a second, a lot of your answers, not all, are addressing issues within the classroom. What I wanted to hear from you as a trustee who oversees the district, what direction can you give to accomplish that consistency, to accomplish those issues that are reoccurring? Not what you would do or what you think is right or wrong, but a vision and giving a directive and holding the administrative and the superintendent accountable for those things, not as an administrator. Okay?
But
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead,
the
go ahead, sir.
difficulty with some of that is
Yes,
not
sir.
understanding what the numbers actually reflect. If we understood what the numbers actually reflect, then you can do more of a visionary impact. You can understand the metrics that are required to deal with those particular issues, and then set up the accountability measures to address those things.
Okay.
But when you look at a broad brush number,
Yes.
that's a very difficult task.
Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, thank you all very much. We're going to talk about staffing because you guys brought that up quite often in regard to staffing, so I want to talk to you about that. From what I've been able to see in regard to staffing as compared to the state and the district, that the district is doing extremely well when it comes to teachers' pay in regard to the district and the state. The district is paying a lot more than what the state is. That is, even for beginners teachers, roughly about $48,000. State is about $45,000. Teachers, on average, anywhere between, as a teacher, 52.3 to 51.8 on the state. Okay, so all those numbers are good. But the challenge that the district appears to have is the turnover ratio from a state and from a district. Now, I know that we have other schools in our area that may pay a little bit more and have some of the same challenges that we have. But the district has a turnover rate of 20.5, whereas the state has a turnover rate of 16.5. What can you do to retain all those good teachers that we are talking about to ensure that they are not just getting up and leaving? Because it doesn't seem like, and I could be wrong, is it salary or is it a culture at the district? And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hooper, and then we're going to go around this way and end here.
Well, I think one thing is when we look at state averages, I think we also have to look at regional base, and you kind of alluded to it. The North Texas, as I like to call it, the North Texas problem, is something that only certain areas have to deal with or manage. We're one of few areas where you can take a 30-minute drive and encounter 15 to 20 different school districts and have to compete in that realm. And so when you talk about teacher salary, you have to be able to be competitive in that market. When we also look at some of our hard-to-fill positions, like whether those are bilingual positions, Spanish teachers, you wouldn't believe it, and Trustee Daniel would probably agree. One of the hardest positions to fill is getting now a quality English teacher. And, you know, especially if they're going to do AP, English 3 or English 4. And so obviously your maths and sciences. And so part of it you might suggest is maybe a morale or cultural things, but I think all school districts have high expectations of anybody who collects a check from their school district. I mean, that's the reasonable expectation, that we will have high expectations that you will deliver high-level instruction every day and that you will come to work. But the reality is, you know, unless if we can make sure that teachers or administrators are deeply invested and rooted in the community as well as the children, that's when you're willing to make some of those sacrifices to pay and things of that sort. I mean, and so obviously we have to continue to remain competitive. Now, when we talk about our academic programs, and you talked about staffing, the reality is we have to, if you're going to have AP programs, if you're going to have IB, if you're going to have magnet programs, you need the best teachers possible in those classrooms. And that doesn't look like you hiring new teachers to the profession. And so some of the challenges that the district faces is sometimes administrative decisions.
Mr. Hoover, I have to stop you right there because of your time, okay? It's a good point, but you were going, Lord, okay?
Well,
I got to keep you on time.
compact, complex questions.
Requires good answers.
It's my turn.
Yes, it is.
So the first thing I would say is look at the data. I would ask for HR to come in and bring in the data of exit interviews of teachers who are leaving out of the district. You want to know why. So when we start there, the next one will go into a climate survey because we know people morale is a big issue of why teachers are fleeing. So if there isn't a morale issue, you want to have a climate survey that gives us the temperature check of our schools and our employees. The next would be looking at their abilities to promote and looking at professional development. A lot of you, so when you look at this, you're looking at why are they leaving, because that was one of the questions. So when you say retention, you retain people based off of how well you're training them, how well you respect them, and how well you believe in the work that they do. So we have to go back and look at that through a lens of how do we better support our employees. The second thing is when you look at competitive salary, again, if we have differences of how do we hire Spanish teachers or Mandarin Chinese teachers, we have to look at being competitive. We have to find money to give them, to bring them on, to onboard them and support them, then we need to do so. But the biggest thing of why teachers leave is because they don't feel supported. So we have to do our due diligence in ensuring that they are here every day and that we are focused on their needs as well as the needs of our children, because our children are first. So we need to make sure they are successful.
Okay. Ms. Sams?
Mr. Moore, could you please repeat the question?
Okay.
It's been a while since I heard it.
Okay, here it is. What can you do to help reduce the number of teachers that are, the turnover ratio in DeSoto ISD, which it is above the state, which is, DeSoto is 20.5, the state is 16.5. Mr. Hooper brought up a very interesting point in regard to region. We're very competitive when it comes to the regional number, but yet still, we're having a 20% turnover ratio.
Right. A job doesn't become a job anymore when you love what you do. And in order to retain these type of people, even the pay doesn't matter when you love and have a passion for your environment, your coworkers, all of that. So in order for us to retain and to keep these individuals, we're going to have to invest in them and support them. So investing in them means believing in their ability, and making sure they have the resources that they need to function in the manner in which they want, that lines up with the curriculum we've set up, and then support them. Support their efforts, support what they're doing, and make it known to them that we support them. Because if I don't feel supported, if I don't feel like you're investing in me or care that I'm here, then I will go seek the job that has the higher pay and more camaraderie or what have you within that area. But you have to invest in the people that we have. I hear a lot of hiring the best, hiring the best. We have the best. Otherwise, why do we hire them? But we have to believe and support what we have.
Okay. Ms. Clark?
Okay. So the question said, what can we do to retain our teachers?
To reduce the turnover ratio.
To reduce the retention rate of our teachers. I believe it's going to be important for our teachers and our administrators to be able to feel supported from the board. I think that's the missing piece. They have to feel that they can come to the board with suggestions and implementations. If our teachers do not feel supported, they are going to continue to leave our district. As Ms. Sam said, we already have the best teachers here in the district. But giving those teachers the support they need, whether it's resources in their classroom, whether it's increased incentives like stipends for certain grade levels, if they have their master's, if they're doctorate, if they're in continual education, and making sure we're partnering with communities, with colleges in the local area so that our teachers can go and get that extra knowledge to be able to bring that aspect to the classroom. But it all begins with basic support, and our teachers have to feel supported.
Okay. Mr. Hall?
What concerns me, and it fits into this, is when you have teachers at the beginning of a semester lasting a week or two and leaving. That's a problem that we deal with all the time. My opinion is that we need to raise the value of our teachers, and I'll say that until kingdom come. Our teachers are not valued, plain and simple. My wife was a teacher for 20 years. She has been valued, she at times was not. Your administration is a key factor in this. The climate of the particular school that you're in, the board administration, we are all involved in this. Sometimes a new principal will come in and maybe the teachers don't want to hook up with that particular principal. Maybe they're too hard. There's so many things that we actually deal with on a board every day. What the answer is, I believe, is that we treat teachers with respect. We give them the time to do what they do best, and that's teach. We allow them to be innovative. We don't just cram everything down their throat. And the board has to support our teachers. I have said over and over and over again, we can have school without the board. We can have school without mainly the administrator. We can't have school without the teachers and the students.
Okay. Ms. Daniels.
Well, I've been there, done that. We have to improve teacher morale. We have to treat our teachers as valued employees. We all know that money is a nice thing, but teachers don't teach for money. They teach because they're passionate about their students and about their subjects. We have to reduce class size so they can teach. It's pretty easy to teach 25. It's not easy to teach 40, especially in a core subject that is tested, and you're under all that stress to bring those test scores up. We have to reduce some of that stress. We have to help teachers with discipline problems. We have to find out why teachers are leaving. The climate is not good in our schools, but the board gets personal as a reason they left. Personal is not specific. Personal doesn't tell me the administration did not support me. Personal didn't tell me I have 250 students instead of maybe 175 that I could teach.
Thank you. Mr. Woods.
The first thing we need to know is how the teachers are feeling. As Ms. Fleming was actually saying earlier, an exit survey. I don't think that an exit survey is going to give the entire picture. You need to do an annual survey, maybe semi-annual survey. You need to know what the teachers are thinking. What is it that they need? What is it that they lack? What is it that they want to try to also contribute to help and change? I also feel that, as I stated on that last forum, the morale. The morale is very important. If you're somewhere where you don't want to be at, you're not going to be there. I feel that as a board, we need to have the responsibility to uphold and maintain the morale. We need to have the responsibility to also accept constructive criticism from the teachers. Tell us what it is that's wrong. If we can know what it is that's going on and what we can do to help rectify and fix that, that's going to maintain our teachers. That will maintain and that will ultimately eliminate any turnover rate. Because as you can see, the money is already good. Beginning teacher can make $55,000 a year. You can't get that really nowhere else. So the problem is not lying within the money. The problem is lying within the environment. The problem is lying within what the teacher really needs.
Ms. Brown.
Thank you. You know, I don't teach I'm not an educator, but the skills and the benefit that I bring to the board is from a federal government standpoint. And usually when we have high turnover within the federal government, we always do. I know some of my constituents may feel like an exit survey is not good enough, but an exit interview provides a lot of information. We as board members must be able to utilize outside resources as well as the resources that we currently have to develop those interview panels. The reason why I say that is because those interview panels bring about metrics, and metrics allow for us to we need to be able to be data driven. What I mean by data-driven, it doesn't mean taking your personal, or taking that individual outside of it, but it does allow for us to abstractly review exactly what is going on without any hindrance. With that being said, I think that the district really is headed in the right direction with trying to address this problem. And the reason why I say that is through the District of Innovation, because that allows them to train their employees, empower them, meaning the teachers that are out there. That is what is utilized for that.
Okay, great. Mr. Porter.
I think, as everyone has said, morale has to be part of the issue. And understanding why the morale is what it is will help us to be able to retain good teachers who want to stay. Team building. Team building as a matter of course, as a matter of practice, rather than as a matter of trying to uncover a problem. And so if we keep teachers engaged, if the culture of engagement is such that we are constantly reinforcing who they are from a professional perspective, that we're constantly reinforcing the fact that we support them in any kind of way, in any way that we can support them, then they, as people, will normally will open up and talk about the issues that they're facing. That gives us an opportunity as a district and as a team to resolve some of those issues before they become problems. We attack them while they're issues and don't allow them to become problems. And one of the ways that we do that is that we're constantly engaged, rather than just, as he was saying, waiting on an exit interview. Exit interviews are important, but rather than waiting on an exit interview, gauge those priorities as we go along so that we can uncover some of those things.
Okay.
Communication and implementation. Communication. We need to establish an open door, transparent communication between all levels, from the Board of Trustees all the way down to the aides and the administrative staff in the schools. We take that information and we actually implement goals and development plans to where those individuals that we have hired and that we have entrusted based upon their skill sets and their knowledge, that we actually develop them to become an asset and not look at them as a liability. One of the other things is that once we have established that and we establish the development plans that you cannot do on a quarterly survey, a 6-month survey, or a year-end survey, you take that information and you build on it. But what you do is you create development plans, and from those development plans, you hold your principals and the administrators accountable for follow-through. That will reduce our retention, is that we get it when it first starts. Morale is not done on a time schedule. It's done on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you very much for those answers. Mr. Hall, I have a question for you. On May 23rd, 2016, during a school board meeting, you made this statement: "We need to hire more white administrators and white teachers." Some residents of DeSoto were concerned about your comment. Would you like to explain what you meant by that?
Sure. And I explained this also to Channel 8 and the reporter that did what he did. We were discussing reintegrating the school system, and it's kind of complicated, but it had to do with a $12.5 million grant, federal government grant. And basically what it was involving magnet schools that were supposed to be capable of bringing white children back into the school system where they were not anymore. I mean, they did this in the reverse years and years ago. This is what we were discussing, and my question to Dr. Rucker was, she had mentioned this $12 million grant for over 2 years, and some of the things they were planning on doing. And I said, well, what else other than throw money at it are you planning on doing? And she didn't answer the question, but Dr. Harris said, well, what would you do? And what I said was that I would hire some white teachers and some white administrators. If we're going to ask white students back into the school system, that seemed to me a logical step. As a matter of fact, Dr. Harris said, I agree with you to an extent. It was kind of blown out of proportion, in my opinion, because I know I read it was a board trustee that had advocated hiring white teachers over teachers of color. And that's far from the truth. That is not in my being at all. But that's what, you know, your words are your words, and they can get twisted. So that basically is what it was all about. And the thing about it is, as a board of trustees, we have to have dialogue. And I can't, as a board trustee, be held to a standard that others maybe are not held to. And the reason I say that is, I have to give you my best thoughts. They may be controversial sometimes, but they're my thoughts. We as a board do everything as, you know, I've been told many, many times, it takes 4 to get something done. And I'm agreeable with that. But we're a board of trustees, not 1 or 2.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let me give you some numbers. Teachers by ethnicity. First of all, as far as teachers, there are 780 teachers in the district. Out of that, 401 are African American, which represents 65.5%. Out of that, there's 158 white teachers, which represent 26% of that. What number then would be acceptable to you as far as a balance of having more teachers and more administrators? What number then would be acceptable?
There's not really a number.
Okay.
In the 3 years that I've been on the board, the only thing, I don't know how many teachers they hire and who they hire. I don't look at the ethnicity, and I know it's on our reports. They're numbered. I don't look at that. I couldn't tell you which was African American, which was white.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the administrators that have been hired in the 3 years that I have been on this board have been basically African American. So I didn't start this out as a controversy. I was trying to be a trustee for the city of DeSoto.
Good. That's why I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain it yourself without the media putting words in your mouth.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay. We just have a few more questions. Let's now turn to academic performances. Okay? Let's turn to academic. From what we can see, that the district has met its standards for 2016, according to TEA. However, there are some areas where there are some challenges. In one of our elementary schools, it did not meet standards. Out of the four, it only met 2. There are some, like in particular, the high school, met standard, but it did not meet all 4. One of the areas in which it did not meet was student progress. As a matter of fact, one of the elementary school was flagged as improvement required. Although the district met standards, we can see that there are some challenges in at least 3 of our elementary schools, as well as the high school. Although the high school has improved over the last few years. Let's make note of that. The high school has improved over the last few years. But the struggle seems to be at the level where it's most important, and that is the elementary school level. With these struggles taking place, what can the board do, and what can you as a board do to challenge more resources, if resources are needed, to address that school and some of the other schools that have not met all 4 standards? And I'm going to start with Ms. Daniels. She's a teacher, and she knows this stuff very well.
Oh, my goodness, thank you very much. I don't know a whole lot about elementary schools.
Basically, the challenge is hiring the best teachers, making sure the teachers are well-trained, making sure the curriculum is rigorous, making sure the teachers understand the developmental rates of students and understand who can learn what at what time, and basically teaching the curriculum rather than trying to teach our students how to take tests. I'm a firm believer in if you teach the TEKS, if you teach what you're supposed to teach, and you are well-versed in your subject and you're well-versed in student development, then the students will be able to perform on the test and we will be high achieving. We will be met standard, yes, but we will be met standard with some pluses along there, so we'll have better scores and better ratings.
Thank you. Mr. Woods, we're going to come down towards you. What can we do? What can you, as a school board member, help to correct the deficiencies that we have with some of our elementary as well as the high school to ensure that they all meet standards? Although the district has met, there's still some schools that are still struggling.
In regards to the elementary school, and as I was also previously researching in the Legislative Budget Board, actually for the 2015-2016 year, the elementary school that was in question is the Meadows. And I'm cognizant of the fact that the Meadows is a campus that is concentrated with special education children. I don't know the curriculum that is being delivered at that school. That is something that we would need to look at. If those children are at that school, and if the level of curriculum that is being developed is not adequate or even up to par, then we need to make major changes there. I believe that is the only elementary school that did not meet that standard. As far as the high school is concerned, I feel that if we also have more life events, gearing them up, getting them ready for life after high school, we can add curriculum to those measures as well for the high school students to be able to obtain. I think that once you allow the children or have the child learn what it is that they need to learn to be able to succeed in life, that's going to get them more engaged, and that'll also increase their education.
Ms. Brown.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. First of all, the district has met all standards. However, there are some struggles with some of the elementary schools, and only really one challenge over at the high school, and that is in regard to the area of student progress. What can the district, and for that matter, the board, what can you do to address those concerns to ensure that schools like some of the elementary schools are brought up to the level where they are meeting all standards? And what resources do you think are needed?
Well, from a holistic standpoint, I will always do a comparison between those particular schools. We want to make certain that the resources are leveled out equally. I mean, it's one thing to say that one school did not meet the standards, but we want to make sure that those resources are leveled out equally. That goes not necessarily pertaining to just financial, but it goes towards the teachers and also towards whatever programs that may be provided with them. Because we need to know for that particular area what is needed. And as it relates to our high school is concerned, I will always do a comparison. Comparing analysis is very good. It allows you to see where you were in the past, because if you don't know where you were in the past, you can't determine really where you need to go efficiently and effectively. So those analyses, I'm a strong believer on data analysis. I'm a very strong believer on making certain that we have an outside resource to be able to give us an objective viewpoint versus just one standard viewpoint. Because a holistic view, the whole person, the whole school, the administrative staff, everyone is important. And to be able to move forward, you can't just move forward with one, you have to move forward with all.
Okay. Down at that end.
I still believe that one of the key components is vertical alignment, and especially when it comes to progress at the high school. It's very difficult for a student to progress when he or she comes to that school at the secondary level and haven't mastered the things that need to be mastered at the elementary and middle school level. And so those vertical alignments also must be part of the total curriculum development, and not necessarily, well, in other words, it has to be vertical and horizontal alignment from curriculum through feeder school all the way to the high school,
Okay.
in order for some of those issues to be resolved.
Okay, first of all, I need clarification on what you're saying here, but let me say this again. The high school is doing great.
Right.
It met 3 of the 4 performance metrics, okay? So just want to say that. The high school is very important, though. But I don't understand what you mean vertical alignments. Can you explain what you mean by that?
What I am saying is, and I say again, if a student is not progressing in the classroom at the high school level, generally that student is progressing because that student is having to relearn stuff that teachers having to reteach things that the student should already know.
But how does that affect the elementary?
Well, the curriculum, if the curriculum is vertically aligned, then if the teachers are teaching the things that instead of teaching a test, as Ms. Daniels said, instead of teaching testing, actually teaching students, then those students will excel at the elementary level, should excel at the elementary level. That means that they should be prepared when they get to the next level, and that means that student progress at the next level will also continue to improve, simply because you're not having to learn the things that you should know when you get to the 10th grade or the 11th grade. And teachers are not having to regress. They're able to progress.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification, sir. Ms. Barber?
I think for the elementary, one thing we would have to do is revisit the curriculum. There's a lot of liberty that principals have, and because this is an issue as a board of trustees, I believe that we need to pull the reins on that and create a solid, consistent, foundational curriculum as a basis for our teachers. And once that has been established and it has shown success and improvement, then we gradually release those reins and put the power back into the principals. But as of for now, we're struggling, so we have to have something consistent. Whether that kid stays at one school or they move to another, then we put that consistency of the curriculum in the classroom. Once that curriculum is done and we move through middle school and move to high school, then that consistent foundation is consistent all across the board. Once they get to high school, then we're at a point that one era that we liked in, that now we can implement AVID programs that actually prepares them beyond graduation day.
Okay, good. Mr. Hooper?
Yes, so one major thing is that the rigor of the curriculum as well as the instruction has to be aligned with the rigor of what is assessed. And that's consistent both at the elementary and the secondary level. In addition to that, you have to have systems in place that manages the growth, student growth, as well as student progress, as well as achievement. And obviously, those are some of the areas that are measured in terms of the accountability system. But when you talk about schools that miss the mark, specifically, let's talk about the Meadows. We have to make sure that we have targeted resources as well as interventions. As you know, if a campus does not make standard, that campus is responsible to do an intervention plan, which the board has to be presented to the board. When the Meadows first presented their intervention plan, it was not good enough. It was not specific, and it was rejected by the board. And it had to provide more specificity on how we were actually going to move the needle and properly serve students. And so I know that you want to talk about what is the action that the board is responsible for and bringing it high level in terms of the board responsibility. And so those are the things that you put in place to actually make sure that you are providing students with the best thing possible for them to actually achieve, as well as providing the oversight leadership that you're supposed to provide at the board level.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. Same thing Mr. Hooper said, they have, the schools have to present and review, and the board reviews the school improvement plan. But the first thing is, we have to have a response to intervention system, and I know earlier we talked about student discipline. Response to intervention, it addresses the academic as well as the behavior needs of the students. So we have to have a system in place that allows teachers to identify our students when they are at risk at early intervention. So we should also continue to ask for the data. You should always ask for the data, and that is something that they can provide to the board as far as projections for the upcoming tests. But with that being said, we have to stop the excessive testing. You have to give teachers time to teach. We have test after test after test, and guess what? That sends the message to the students that testing is not important. So we have to make sure that we're accountable and we're good stewards of how we're giving our assessments. And so we also need to look at being innovative. Sometimes we may need to move our best teachers to the schools that are low performing so that we can bring them up as well. And we need to create a culture of learning where teachers understand I need to go where the need is. So we put resources, which are our teachers who are highly effective, into those schools who can best affect change.
Mr. Moore, can you just reiterate the question, please?
Okay. The question deals with how do you affect change at the elementary level where you have some of our elementary schools are not performing as well as they should be. The school that's been brought up by members on the panel, not by me, was the school of the Meadows. I'm not just talking about the Meadows, I'm talking about those other schools as well. However, the Meadows is the one that was flagged as needing improvement.
Okay. Well, things that I've been doing currently within the community as a parent, I initiated Mission Star Parent Tutors, where the parents came to the school and learned from administrators the skills that our students needed to pass the test, STAR test in particular, and then we in turn tutored the students. We got the parents involved because we need to know, as parents, you need to know what the requirements are, what your students need to learn. And then, as far as what I would do as a board member, or what I would suggest, I would implement this or try to have this at the other schools as well. For instance, training sessions, having training sessions for the teachers, making sure that all the stakeholders that are involved understand the goal, understand what's required, understand what's going to be tested, and then we compose a clear-cut plan to get that over to our students. So understanding what is going to be tested, understanding what the kids need that are not able to, or for whatever reason, they're not able to get the information originally, let's do targeted tutoring. And let's make sure the parents, the teachers, everybody's on the same page so we can all work together to lift these students up to the level that they need to be on.
Okay. Ms. Clark.
Okay. For what would I do as a board member to address the concerns to make sure that all of our schools meet standards?
Address the middle schools.
Yes.
The ones where we're having this challenge.
Correct. First, we have to understand that brain development starts at the age of 3. So that means we have Amber Terrace currently, which is going to be the foundation school. So we have to make sure that those students who are going through that program are being strengthening right there, because that's going to be the starting point. Then we can talk about what the teachers can do in their classroom. And for me, it would, as a board member, would say that the teachers have to be able to be innovative and creative in their classroom so that the students can relate to them and the teachers can implement their curriculum without it being structure, test. You have to give those teachers the freedom to implement their curriculum the best way they know how. So that's going to require us to allow the teachers to have a creative initiative, but definitely look at the brain development. Also use the resources of being able to have homework logs, bring those back on the elementary level, making sure that our students have 30 minutes or 40 minutes a night to read, because we know reading is going to be the basis of moving forward, no matter what subject matter it is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hall.
Okay, I'm going to make a disclosure. I'm not an educator. I'm a business person, most definitely. But I know in a business situation, you determine where the problem is or what the problem is actually, and then you begin to create a solution for it. As an overseer, it's not my job to determine what the curriculum is or that sort of thing, but it's to hold those folks in power and leadership responsible for fixing it. And they should, what I would ask that they bring us the problem, which they do most of the time, and we look at it. They provide a solution and maybe several different ways of correcting the problem, and we put our heads together and we work out a solution. I don't believe that's that difficult. I don't want to see any school in that kind of a situation, whether it's Meadows or the others. We don't want to make any more excuses for why. We want to solve the problem, and that's where my leadership on the board would come in. Thank you.
Okay, great, terrific. We're going to give you now time to do your closing remark, but I want to make a statement because I don't have time. I don't think we have time to go through this question, and it's actually something I think the district should be very proud of. The district had an estimated general fund balance of $12 million. I said general fund. $12 million for 2015 and 2016, and a projection of 2016 to 2017 of $17 million. I said that because some of you all have brought up being financially or fiscal responsible. I believe that based upon the number that the district is really trying to do that, and I think that the district should be commended. Of course, there are a lot of other things that the district can do, but it does appear as if the district is really trying to be financially fiscal responsible in spite of the fact that there may be some challenges. We understand that we're building a new school. We understand, too, that you have given raises to our teachers and everything. So I think the district should be commended for that. So that's the reason why I didn't deal with any question on the financial. Now, what I'd like to do is give you all at least a minute to give us your closing remark and tell us why we should elect you. And we're going to start back on that end, start with Ms. Barber, come all the way around, and we're going to end with Mr. Hooper. And we want to just give you a minute. Go that way. Yeah, start there.
First of all, let me say thank you, Mr. Moore, and to everyone who came out tonight to hear from each of us tonight. I am one who stands firm behind wherever I stay, wherever my home is where I should be invested. And I am choosing to be invested in DeSoto because that is my home. I believe in our city. I believe in our mayor. I believe in our school district. One of the things, if you came out to the mayor's meeting, she said that she wanted to build the bridge of community communication and actively involvement amongst everyone in the community, and that includes our school district. And I believe that I can bring that to the table as an actively engaged parent currently who has been active from day one since I came out into this district. I believe that I am an excellent candidate because I have skill sets, assets, and trainings and knowledge that goes beyond the classroom of an educator, but also looks on the business side of the business management skills. So that is what I have to bring. I am here to stay. I'm not leaving. And whether you see me on May 6th on the School Board of Trustees, you will still see me actively engaged in this district as one who is moving towards improvement, engagement for the betterment of our community that aligns with the 2020 vision of our city as well as our district.
Thank you.
As I opened saying, I have been here for 24 years. I am a father of two who have matriculated through the district's schools from elementary on through graduation. I have a grandson who is also participating now in the district. I have been active in the schools, in the life of the school and in the life of the community for a better part of about 17 years. The first 7 years I was here, I traveled about 85% of the time. But I came off of the road to be a part of this community. I came off the road to be a part of the lives of my children so that they knew Dad was available to them. I have spent that time walking the hallways, listening to children, mentoring children, starting mentor programs inside of the schools. And not only that, I have invested my own personal time, my own personal monies, my own personal resources to make sure that those kids that needed a leg up, whether they felt they were college ready or not, or secondary school, actually post-secondary school ready or not. I've used my own time, talent, and resources to ensure that a lot of those kids were able to go to school. I'd like to take that to the next level. And so, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Ms. Brown.
Let me first say thank you for having us all here. Just give you a little background. I never portrayed myself to be an educator. The skill sets that I bring to the table for the board and for our community is that I'm a business major. I have a master's in business, and I manage about $5 billion of our federal funds for taxpayers' dollars. And I want to bring those skills to our community. I want to be able to provide that financial support that we need for our children in our school district. Those are the things that I bring to our table. I'm very active in our community. I'm typically the behind-the-scenes person to try to pull everything together. That I give. I believe that service starts at home first, and this is home for me and my family for 20-plus years. My son is a graduate of DeSoto, and I have 3 other children, and hopefully my grandchildren will be graduates of DeSoto. But with that being said, I am here to serve our community. So whatever our community needs and whatever skills and responsibilities or fiduciary responsibilities that I can bring, that's why I'm here and for DeSoto.
Thank you. Mr. Woods.
Thank you. First, I just wanted to say I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come and speak and voice my views and my thoughts. I wouldn't have it any other way. I grew up in DeSoto. Born in DeSoto, raised in DeSoto. My children attend DeSoto. I think DeSoto is the best school district in the state of Texas, in the nation, in the world. I have a passion to help. I'm a parent. I always thought if you want to get something done, roll your sleeves up and get to work. The way for me to get to work is to volunteer on this board. I do a lot of volunteer work with my job, 12 years plus experience with the federal government. I'm an assistant chief steward for the largest national treasury employees union for federal workers in the United States. I have a passion to work. I have a passion to help. I'm just a concerned parent like many of you are. And the only way for me to try to excel and to try to make things better for my child and yours, everybody's child, is to get in there, roll my sleeves up, and get to work and do the best that I can. I have pride in this. I have passion. And for that, I thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Ms. Daniels.
I want to thank the Chamber for having this forum and inviting us for a chance to tell our issues, our views. I think you know that I am passionate about education. I have lived in this area in DeSoto for 40 years. My children went to school here. I taught here. I am an educator. I am vitally concerned about our schools. I want us to be the best that we can be, and I think that is within the realm of possibility. I have 4 issues that are my main concerns. I want to recapture academic excellence. We are an athletic powerhouse, and you will see me at all of the games. I want us all also to be an academic powerhouse. I want a safe, disciplined learning environment, which includes a dress code. I want to promote future readiness for all of our students, not just the college-bound, but those who are going into the workforce, those who are going into the military, whatever career, whatever passion our students have, I want them to be prepared for it. And I want to ensure accountability through teamwork. Everyone is accountable for education. The students, the parents, the teachers, the administrators, and most of all, the school board.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, and I would like also to thank Mr. Kinsey Moore. I'm also a member of that Metrotex Realtor thing, and I was really looking forward to some money this year, and I'm upset with you about that. But I appreciate you and what you've done and the service you've given this community. One thing I would like to tell most of you that probably don't know, years and years ago when the internet was in infancy, I think the leader knows about this, but my son and I actually gave you the first website you had. We also did that for the Chamber, the DEDC, the school district, the city, and Best Southwest. We give back to this community. My wife was a teacher, obviously, and she would still probably be teaching, but she's not. But we've lived here a long time. We love this community. And what I would say more than anything else, other than vote for me, is that we have open dialogue. Let's don't stifle dialogue, because if we can't speak what we speak, sometimes we make mistakes. Mr. Crone told me to stay off the television. Well, I would love that to happen, and I don't want back on the television. But I appreciate the church giving us the opportunity and the community giving me the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Thank you very much. Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, for hosting this forum tonight. First, I would say what I would bring to the board is my background. I did graduate from DeSoto High School, which allowed me to pursue a degree in psychology from the University of Houston, and then I went to North Texas and received a dual master's in community and school counseling, and currently I'm studying doctorate of education at Abilene Christian, and it's all because of my foundation here in DeSoto. So I want to say that my background as a teacher and a counselor for an outside district right now will allow me to bring that knowledge to the school board. And then in that capacity alone, we'll be able to unify the board so that we can make the appropriate decisions for our students, because our students should be our top priority. The 10,000 students is my personal agenda, and the 50,000 students. Once we increase our academics for our students, hold our students, community, parents, everyone accountable, and increase our achievements so that the community can see that we have great programs in DeSoto, but we have to build those partnerships. And the only way we can build those partnerships is if you put someone who has used the community to be able to assist in building. So I'm asking the city of DeSoto to please vote Tiffany Clark, School Board Trustee, Place 4.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Sims?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Our children deserve our investment. Our children are asking and requesting for our investment, and it is our job to give them that. The reason why I'm running is because I see the need. I see the need, and I want to help and work with the team that can provide them with the skills, the resources, and what they need. As far as the teachers as well, they need support. And we have to work as a unified front in order to get them to the level that they need to be on. And not just the school board and not just the public school system, but also our community. We have to bridge the gap between the public school and the community that we live in, because then we can move forward and strive for bigger heights. But DeSoto should be named among Dallas and other big cities when people talk about Texas. I have a plan and a vision for DeSoto ISD that is bigger than what we currently have. And the only way that I can achieve that is by working together with the other distinguished members on the board and moving forward in the best interest for our children.
Thank you. Ms. Fleming.
Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this forum tonight. Let me begin by saying our children are watching. Our children are watching. So the choices we make during this election will truly reflect how our community looks 10 years from now. And so with that being said, you want to make sure that you choose a representative who best represents your children, who will best represent the community. I'm running this race because I wanted to be the change I wanted to see. I bleed education. It is what I do. And so the only iron I have in this fire are our children. I am currently an assistant principal. If elected, I will have to resign from my position. But please know that I'm a certified professional, which is what education has afforded me to find a new occupation, a new position, However, I come to you with 16 years of experience. I come to you as a person who will communicate what is happening in our schools, who will communicate to you in town hall meetings, who will communicate with you in any open forum that these are the decisions that are being made, and really explain to you why these decisions are being made, because sometimes we just need clarity. But I also want to make sure that we understand that we have to be unified. Because if we cannot get together and show our kids that we want what's best for them, then what are they expecting themselves? So I challenge everyone to take a good look at the candidates, because we have put our hearts out here. We have exposed ourselves for everything that we have, because we all have a purpose of doing what's best for our children. So with that being said, I want this district to flourish with Fleming, one team, one goal, one passion. DeAndrea Fleming, place 4.
Thank you. And Mr. Hooper.
First, I want to thank the Chamber for putting on this event. I'd like to thank you, the community, for coming and engaging in this discussion with the candidates, and hopefully that you will consider returning me back so that we can continue to complete the job. For the last 14 years, I've had the privilege of living in this community. And over the last 6 years, I've had the pleasure of serving this community on the Board of Trustees. Throughout that time, I believe that I've been forward-thinking, that I've worked as a team of 8, that I've been relentlessly committed to the success of every child in DeSoto ISD, that I've been fiscally responsible, that I've been a good listener, and I've been a dedicated mentor. And if you return me back to the Board of Trustees, please rest assured that I will be committed to enhancing our academic program, providing life-changing educational experiences to every child in DeSoto ISD, and providing them with world-class exposure that will allow them to compete globally. So I ask you for your support. I ask you for your vote. Please consider Aubrey Christopher Hooper for place 5 on the DeSoto ISD Board of Trustees. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you all. Let's give them a hand. Before Dr. Harris walk out the door, we want to acknowledge him, who is the superintendent. And I was trying to look out there to see you, but we want to acknowledge the superintendent of our district. It's Dr. Harris in the back there. And Dr. Harris, we want to say thank you so much. I want to thank all the candidates. I think you all did a wonderful job, and you're all qualified, and I want to wish you all good luck. At this time, I want to turn it back over to Al.
You forgot to thank you. We want to thank our moderator. I'm going to say this very quickly. There's no reason for us not to go out and vote. No matter who your choice is, it doesn't matter. I mean, we have a lot of candidates that are sitting on this podium this evening. We've come out this evening. Go talk about your candidate of choice, but be sure, be very sure that you go out and vote. We've got the right to vote. Let's vote for your candidate of choice, because they're giving they're asking to be a part of a voluntary position in the city of DeSoto. Vote. And then we can all say, wow. Yeah. It's very important for us to go out and vote for your candidate of choice. Now, I can go on. We thank Kinsey for being a great moderator. I thought I was watching CBS News or something. But, great job. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. We'd also like to thank all of our candidates for being participants this evening. What a great job and great answers you gave. If I could just vote, and one vote and vote for all of you, then everything would be over and we'd be okay, right? So, great job, and I think there were some great answers given. Also, we'd like to thank the Valley of Faith for opening their doors this evening. And their pastor, boy, he's quite a man. Yeah, great handshake. His hand covered my whole, yeah. The tears of joy for the refreshments this evening. What a great job. If y'all didn't have no cookies and punch, when y'all saw me get up and walk out, I went to get some cookies and punch. And most of all, the audience, for you being so cooperative this evening. Wow, there was no disruptions. There was nobody saying, oh, I can't believe it. None of that. Thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for coming out this evening. Now, this is the good part. We don't care where you go, but you're going to have to leave here. So we're going to have the last words by the pastor and give us grace in our travels to our humble abodes. Again, thank you all for coming, and thank you, candidates, for all you did this evening.
Praise the Lord for everybody's here. Thank God for Brother Kinsey, longtime friend, in the Chamber of Commerce. They the sweethearts. I thank them for being our friends. Amen. And whenever you need us, we want to be here for you. Okay? House tomorrow, that's fine. Just to make sure you come Sunday so you can see what Jesus got to say to you. I have no problem with trading out. Amen. We're standing, so we can go. I hope y'all enjoyed the refreshments. One of our darling evangelists over at our children ministry love to cook. That's Sister Kimmy, daughter, Sister Joya. She made them from scratch. So we thank God for her. Amen. And I just say to all the candidates, it's a good thing to want to help the youth. If you really understand what the school system supposed to be putting out, I love it. I heard what I heard. But what I want the understanding before y'all leave here, the scripture said charity starts at home. I know we want the teachers to be the mamas and the daddies because they spend more time with them, but I dare you to start praying and asking God to deal with the home front. I don't know how much they do with this parents' conference stuff like they used to have. You remember when you used to have it? I'm praying for the youth because the kingdom of God is there, and it's a good thing to have interest in the children. I'm praying for you. Amen. I'm praying for you that God will use you for his glory. Father, we thank you for how you have blessed us today. I ask that you continue to show yourself merciful to them. I ask, God, that you draw by your spirit in these last and evil days with things that's happening all over that we don't have a clue and have understanding, but we ask that you give us a clear understanding. And all I get in you say, get understanding. Now, as we leave this place, never away from your spirit nor your presence, I ask that you camp your angels out about them. Yeah, allow the Holy Spirit to lead them and guide them to all truth and righteousness. Get them to their destination, safe and sound, until you bring them back to the point again where we continue to worship you in spirit and truth. We give you glory for it. If our minds are clear, can you say amen? Amen. Amen. God bless you.